Welcome friends, it is I, LostScarf, and it's time for a guide to the maps of Heroes of the Storm. The idea here is to show you the tutorials for each map, to give you an overview of each map, and to give you a bunch of information and tips for each one. So we're going to go over all 7 maps of Heroes of the Storm currently. And the order of the maps will be Blackheart Bay, Haunted Mines, Cursed Hollow, Tomb of the Spider Queen, Dragonshire, Sky Temple, and Garden of Terror. So, if you're looking for a specific map, just go through it looking in that order, and you'll find the map you're looking for the tips. Now, there is an 8th map that has been announced the day that I'm finishing this guide, and it's going to be about the Heaven and Hell map, and so when that comes out, I'll play HOTS for a week, probably play maybe 20-30 games on that map, and then I'll make a guide for that one as well. So if you're looking for that map specifically, there is a video for it when it comes out about a week after. So there you go. Let's get to the maps.
What have we here? More of them scallywags coming to Blackheart Bay, eh? Well, ye landlubbers, here everyone pays respects to the captain. And this captain only respects one thing. Coin! Ha ha ha! Don't care how ye buckos get 'em. Thievery, murder, whatever. Just bring yourselves to me ship and hand over them doubloons. And I'll give ye enemies a payload of me own!
Blackheart Bay is a pretty big map. Got 3 lanes going on here, and you have a lot of stuff to deal with. You've got mercenary camps, you got 2 siege camps, 3 bruiser camps, then you have a boss camp, and then there's the objective of the game. There is the 4 doubloon camps here, 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 and here. They show up purple on the map. You got a vision point so you can see the top ones. And then you got the treasure chests, which show up here, and here, also purple map. And then there's a turn-in point, which is for contesting to make sure the enemy cannot turn in their coins. There's a lot going on here, and this gets a little complicated, but you should do alright. Now, as you know from the tutorial, the objective of the game is to collect coins and turn them into Blackheart. When you complete the objective, he fires 12 cannonballs at structures. The closest structures are the ones that get hit first, then it'll be the next layer, and the core is the final thing that he'll shoot at. So if any structures are still up, he'll shoot them before he goes for the core. After you complete the objective and he does his bombardment, the price will go up by 2. It starts at 10, then it goes to 12, and so on. Now, when it comes to the chest, they have 3 bars of HP, and each bar takes 6 hits. First 2 bars will drop 1 coin each, the last bar will drop 3 coins. Auto attacks and abilities both deal 1 damage to chest. All mercenary camps also give 2 doubloons each. When a hero dies with doubloons, their coins fall out of them, and it's up for grabs for anyone to grab. So once you kill someone, you want to make sure you can swoop in and get those coins, and your enemy team does not get them before you can. And if you want to see how many coins everyone has, you can just hit the tab to look. So you want to not let any coin-heavy heroes turn in. You got to kill them. If they turn in, you might be in trouble. And lastly, you want to have some form of vision at the turn-in point. There are 2 gas spots right there, so you can sit there for ambush, or put different deployables there to keep an eye on the area.
Welcome, foolish heroes, to the Haunted Mines. Here, death reigns eternal. Soon the mines will open, and the terrors within shall awaken. Slay the undead, wrest their cursed skulls from them. In turn, I will summon forth my mighty bone golems. They will destroy your enemy's defenses. So, do we have a deal?
Now, in this overview of the Haunted Mines, you can see that there are 2 maps actually happening here, above ground and underground. If you try to click from one to the other, your character will just move a bit weird because it just doesn't trail correctly. You have to click on these areas to go in, and then you can move from there. You can see there's an entrance to the mines from the top and the bottom, and these entrances open at 2-minute mark. There's also a bruiser camp and 2 siege camps with vision points keeping an eye on both of them. Now, underground, you got to collect 100 skulls to sum the objective of the game. So there are about 35 minions in these 8 spots, and each are worth 2 skulls, and then the boss over here is worth 30 skulls. This is the most popular spot to be in for the skulls because you can gather 10 right here pretty quickly for 20, and then you can choose which way you want to go from there to get even more skulls. Now, as it is probably obvious, the more skulls you get, the stronger your golem is. And something really fun you can do is you can use the entrances to the mines as an ambush point to kill people so that you have less people to deal with when gathering the skulls. Also, the mine entrances are useful for escapes. You can go in, then go out, and go in again. Just confuse someone and then just get the hell out of there. Something very important about the skull gathering is you don't want to all in on that, because if everyone's down below getting skulls, there's a chance of an enemy just capturing the mercenaries up top. And if they get a bunch of the mercenaries, it can turn the tide of a battle, or even negate your strong capture of skulls. So it isn't a bad idea to get vision points, so that you'll have an idea where the mercenary camps are, and see if anyone's trying to capture them, so you can try to defend them or take them first. Now, a funny bit of information is, the golems will not spawn as long as there are skulls to be gathered. So if you leave one skull on the ground, if the enemy's ahead of you in skulls, you can prolong the golem spawning. So you can just leave that one skull on the ground, don't pick it up, try not to let anyone pick it up, and the golems will not spawn yet, so you can try to get to a better situation in the match. Now, the thing about the bigger boss that drops the skulls is they drop skulls over time while you're fighting them, then they die and drop a bunch of skulls at once. An invisible or fast hero on your side could get in there really fast and just steal a couple skulls after it's dead or while it's being contested, just to cut into how much the enemy is getting. Something to note is, when you get all the skulls, you have 30 seconds before the golems spawn, so you have time to push ahead or defend a point with the golem or against the golem. And the last thing to keep in mind is skulls will respawn again 2 minutes after both golems are dead.
You dare come to Cursed Hollow? Amusing. If you desire victory, you will gather tribute in my name. Be the first and receive my blessing. Your enemies will fall, their every defense disabled and weakened. But you had better press your advantage. My favor is not eternal. What do you say? Are you ready to begin?
Cursed Hollow is probably the most straightforward map in the game. You have 3 lanes to deal with. You got 2 of each thing, so 2 points, 2 siege camps, 2 bruiser camps, and 2 boss camps. And then the tribute will spawn randomly in the top area or the bottom area. The first time will be 3-minute mark with 15-second warning. After it gets grabbed, another one will show up 1 minute later in another random point. Now, when 3 are captured by one team, a curse will happen. The curse will put 1 HP for minion HP, and then towers will not fight back. And the duration of the curse depends on how long the match has been going. Now, after 2 minutes of the curse being over, a new tribute will show up. It's a very straightforward map, so you just want to get those favors. If you can't get the favor, try to stall it as long as you can. If you really think you cannot stop them and get the favor at all, then you're going to want to try to just push the minion lines back as far as you can, especially when the third favor gets grabbed, because when that happens, it's going to be a very hard time for your team. Now, if you are close to victory and the enemy's bothering to grab the favors, you can let them grab the favors, because as long as they don't get the third one, you're fine. Like, if they have 0-1 favor, you're okay. Now, if they're going to grab the third one, unless you're about to win the game, you might want to be a little worried about that.
Trespassers! This tomb belongs to the spiders. And we desire gems of power. You will shatter your enemies' constructs. Slay their heroes. Bring their gems to my altar. Do this, and my red will descend upon your foes. Now go! I grow impatient.
Now, the Tomb of the Spider Queen is pretty straightforward. You have 1 siege camp, 2 bruiser camps, and a boss camp. And then you have 2 turn-in points which are hard to see, so you want to get some vision on them. And what happens here is ranged minions are spiders, and they drop gems for you to pick up and drop into these turn-in points. So you want to try to keep your enemy from turning them in while you turn in your stuff. Now, when the objective is complete, a spider lady will spawn in each lane to do damage to the other side. And one more thing to keep in mind is when you complete an objective, it'll increase by 5 price. Probably the first big thing to keep in mind is that you can use tab to see how many gems each hero is carrying, so you can see who's worth killing first. Now when you kill an enemy hero, they drop all their gems, which can be picked up by allies, and then they drop 3 gems for your team to pick up as well. So you want to try to kill someone alone from their teammates, or if you're going to kill them, make sure you kill their teammate as well. You want to keep some form of vision on the turn-in points, which isn't easy though since there are 2, but if you can keep an eye on them, you can prevent spiders from showing up. Summon spider ladies spawn where the minion line is, so if you have lanes pushed really deep, they'll spawn deeper. If they're pushed back, they'll spawn further back. So what happens is, when you know the enemy's going to spawn some minions, you're going to want to push the minion line as far back as possible so that she spawns further back, and when you're going to spawn the spiders, you should probably push the lanes up as far up as you can. You can also consider getting mercenary camps before the spider ladies spawn, so that you can have a stronger push, or to slow down their push. One more thing to keep in mind is, when spider ladies spawn, the camps disappear. So if there's any camps still on the mini-map, when they spawn, that means someone's trying to capture it. You should probably go contest that.
The Gardens of Draganshire. Radiant, are they not? And yet, they are founded on a lie. Activate the sun and the moon shrines, and the magic that seals away my dragon night will weaken. I shall lend you its power. Burn your enemies. Shatter their fortifications. Remind this world of its true heritage. The dragon will be reborn. Control its power, or be destroyed by it. Your choice.
Draganshire has 2 siege camps and 3 bruiser camps, and then you have 2 capture points, top and bottom, which you need to capture in order to capture the middle spot, which is summoning the dragon. Now when you unleash the beast, this is what you become. And its length of time is dependent on how long the match has been going, and then you have your abilities like so. You have the ability to breathe fire and to savage charge someone. Savage charge is you knock someone out to a place. Now you do really good damage to structures. Now, when the dragon dies, the shrines will activate again to capture 1 minute and 30 seconds later. So you want to be ready for those as soon as this dragon goes down. Now, an important thing to keep in mind is all 3 points must be captured pretty much. You got to capture the top and the bottom before you can do the middle spots. So, as long as you can stall those points out, you can prevent enemies from getting a dragon, especially if they're ahead of you, so they don't have that dragon to really give you a lot of trouble. Because of that, if you're ahead, or if you're just doing really well at holding the points, or trying to hold the points and the enemy just doesn't let you, you might have to just kill people to get those points complete. Now, when the dragon is active, if you see any camps on the minimap, that means someone's trying to capture them right now, because those usually will be disappeared when the dragon is active. Something to keep in mind is the dragon timer length depends on the match time. The longer the match is gone, the longer the length will be on that. The lowest I've seen is about 50 seconds. You want to use your dragon breath as often as possible, so you can just do a lot of damage to places, and you want to launch your enemies into your team when possible. The second ability, the W ability, you hit an enemy hero into the direction you hit them. So if you can get around them and hit them into your team, that'll be really bad for them, so it's something to keep in mind. And of course, when you're trying to deal with an enemy summoning dragon, you want to kill them as quickly as possible, or stall them as long as you can. Crowd controls do work on the dragons.
dare you bring your war to Luxoria? My temples were built for worship, though they are also powerful weapons. But you, I do not grant you my power. Should you try to claim them, my guardians will cleave you in twain. Turn back now, before you are found lacking.
The Sky Temple is a very complicated map and is very big. You got 3 lanes going on here. Then you have 2 siege camps, 2 bruiser camps, and 1 boss camp in the middle, which makes it very dangerous to contest. Then you have 3 more things to contest. You have 3 temples, top, middle, and bottom. The first ones, the top and the middle, will activate at 1 minute and 30 second mark. And then after they're finished, which what happens here is you're going to try to capture these points, and while you're capturing them, they're going to shoot lasers at enemy structures. During that time, 5 guardians will spawn over time to fight you and anyone else trying to contest the spot, so it can get pretty crazy trying to do that. After those 2 towers are done, 2 minutes later, the bottom temple will be active, and then after that's done, every 2 minutes after the temples are deactivated, 2 more will be activated, and it'll be random which ones it will be. The 7th time this happens, though, all 3 will be active. Same thing for the 8th and so on. So it can get really crazy trying to do mercenary camps, trying to do temples. There is so much to handle and try to manage. It's going to be really crazy. Unsurprisingly, a lot of the focus should be on those points. So when you're trying to contest points, you should probably have a numbers advantage. If they have 1 person, try to have 2. If they have 2 people, try to have 3. You always want to have more people there so you have a better chance of holding the points. That way you can use those lasers to do damage to the enemy structures. Now, if you have really good team fighting potential, you have a better chance at it, and also if you're just a higher level team, that's the thing you can do. Now, if you're a lower level team, you might have to forego contesting the points and just soak up more XP and get up ahead. But there's a thing you can do. You could try to capture the points at like the last couple seconds of it, because the last second of it, when it gets fully captured, so you might want to get there a little bit before that, but when it gets fully captured, and it runs out of ammo, it does 5 more really strong shots. So if you can at least get those last 5 shots, which don't need you to hold it anymore after it activates, then that could be pretty useful for the team. Also, if you're just behind and you can't do too much, you can try to use the Guardians to your advantage. You can have the Guardians attack the enemy's capturing point currently, try to get kills that way, or try to knock them off and try to get the point for yourself. But of course, if you're the ones holding the point, you want to kill those Guardians as quickly as possible so they do not become a nuisance when the enemy heroes try to stop you. You can go for the boss in the center. It might be the best time to distract and do that is when the enemy's doing the temples, but it is a very dangerous thing. The boss in the center can really ruin a game for you or can win the game, but it is scary trying to do that. Most likely you should just do that when a bunch of enemy heroes are dead.
Heroes, haha, you've arrived just in time to witness my gardens come alive.
At night, we transform! The Garden of Terror blossoms! Slay the mindless shamblers and take their seeds! When you have enough, I shall grant you the power of nature! Spread my infestation! The Spore Queen demands it!
The Garden of Terror is an interesting map shape. It is siege shaped, so it is long and narrow. You have 4 siege camps, and then you have 2 bruiser camps. You got 3 lanes to contest through, and then there are the night terror areas. These are shamblers here, and then there's bosses here and here. So 4 shambler points and 2 boss points. The Shamblers each drop 5 seeds, and then the Night Terror drops 60 seeds. That's a total of, counting everything together, 180 seeds possible. Now, when you collect 100 seeds, you're able to spawn one of these Night Terrors for your own team, and we'll talk about how that wrecks things later on. Night starts at 1 minute and 30 seconds. When night ends, which is after all Shamblers and bosses are dead, The next night will come up 3 minutes and 30 seconds later. An interesting thing about the Terror bosses is they drop seeds as they're getting beat up, and then when they die they drop the rest of their seeds. So, if you're invisible or fast enough, you can go in there and steal a bunch of seeds while the enemy's dealing with a Terror boss. It's not a bad idea to do. It'll slow down their progression. One thing to keep in mind is, not last until all Shamblers are dead. This also counts the Terror boss. So, if you feel like the enemy's too far ahead right now with seeds or just in level and you want them to not have a Terror, you can keep one Shambler alive. And keep it alive as long as you can, and night will not end, and no more seeds are going to happen besides the ones that are in that Shambler or in the Terror boss. So that could help you out and slow things down. Now let's talk about the Terror. Now, when you get 100 seeds, of course, you spawn a Terror, and then someone gets to pick it up and become the Terror for a while. It has 3 abilities. It has a Queen's Curse, which turns enemy heroes into plants. It has an Overgrowth, which pauses structures from being able to fight back, and does damage to them over time, as long as the Overgrowth is alive. And you have the ability to run quickly to locations. Now, since the length of time you can be a Terror is lengthened by the match time, you want to be a Terror as long as possible. Don't get it killed. You want to be able to use your Overgrowth very often so that you can cause a lot of structural damage. So just keep that in mind. Now, something to keep in mind when you're using a Terror, if you don't notice it, is on the mini-map. If you see any camps visible, that means someone's contesting it right now and trying to capture it. So someone should go over there and stop them or try to capture it from the enemy team. That can be very useful, because those should not be there when the Terror is active, because it wouldn't be good if the Terror could beat up camps for mercenaries, so that's why they take them away. Now, you want to use Overgrowth on as many structures as possible. It is possible to get almost an entire fort with the Overgrowth if you get close enough to do it, so you want to try to do as much damage as possible by getting as many buildings as possible. Now, if you're dealing with light defenses, you should use Overgrowth and beat up structures. If you're dealing with a lot of enemy heroes fighting back, put down the Overgrowth to distract them and move to another lane to do more damage there. Just keep doing that. Just keep hitting and running for the full duration, and you'll do a lot of damage to structures eventually. Even if they kill the Overgrowth quickly, it'll still do some damage, or at least distract them. And while you're being pursued, it's not a bad idea to drop down the Queen's Curse, which will hopefully hit the hero so they can't chase you as well. So in conclusion, there you go, a bunch of information and tips for the 7 maps in the Heroes of the Storm game. I hope you find it very useful and informative in some way, shape, or form. As long as you learned something, we did a good job there. That is what's important there. I just really enjoy this game, and I want more people to get good at it, because the better everyone gets at the game, the more improved gameplay will be in general. That way you have a really good challenge when you're fighting other people, and you have good, reliable teammates. That's really important. So there you go. That is the guide. If you found it helpful, please share it with other people so they can find it helpful as well. And that is the guide. I had fun making it, hope you had fun watching it and found it informative, and that's what it's all about, isn't it? Having fun. Thanks for coming by, and see you next time.